moment to shine on Happy Camper Life. We're loving, living, and learning online on Happy Camper Life.
Hey guys, I'm Courtney Ortiz and welcome to the My Camp podcast here at Happy Camper Live. Now, you guys know me, or if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I love camp, right? And I really didn't grow up spending all my childhood going away to sleepaway camp, but I went to sleepaway camp once for 2 weeks at a camp called Camp Summit or Summit Camp in Western North Carolina in Brevard. So from that 2 weeks, I was 8 years old. It was 1985. And I always wanted to go back. I always wanted to work at a camp, and camp has just always had such a special place in my heart. So, and also like North Carolina, right? I have family there, and there's just nothing like the mountains of North Carolina. So I was really, really excited to welcome my two new friends, Casey Blair, the program director, and Sarah Carter, one of the owners of Camp Rockbrook for Girls in Brevard, North Carolina, which was where my camp was. So I watched, as I was doing my research, I was hearing names that I remembered from my summer at my 2 weeks at Camp Summit in 1985. So welcome to the Girls HC here at my camp. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, Camp Rockbrook for Girls, I think you just celebrated 100 years last year, right?
So not this past summer, but the year before, yes.
Yeah, in 21, right? You started 19. So what does a camp do to celebrate their 100th birthday?
A lot of things. So part of my job is planning the special events for the summer. So we had some special events that were geared towards Rockbrook history. So one of them included doing a number of challenges 100 times for the 100th summer. So they were wacky things like, can you add up 100 ponytails in everyone's hair in your cabin? Or can you hula hoop 100 times? And then Sarah also led a little history tour through her house, actually, which has been on the property since before camp started. So she had set up a little museum and kind of took each camper, a couple of cabin groups at a time, through kind of talking about some of the history.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I have to say, give you guys credit on your website, and I suggest everybody, if they're looking for camp, to check out their website. You have an incredible video. It's like 30 minutes long of the history of Camp Rockbrook, and you guys were ahead of the times with your focus on like the video. I mean, you have video of home movies, let's say, but so the video, right? You have home movies of, you know, back in the 20s leading up, and to be able to create this comprehensive historic. So can we talk a little bit about the history of Camp Rockbrook? I think especially in these days, is, you know, we're still fighting, women are still fight for their rights. Like this place, like, let's talk history. Tell me a little bit about Nancy Carrier here, okay?
I would love to talk history. So that's really one of my favorite things to talk about with Rockbrook. And I'm Sarah, and my husband Jeff and I are the directors at Rockbrook. And by the way, we go by Rockbrook Camp for Girls. Okay. And there's kind of a reason that has to do with the history. And it starts before the camp was even begun. The house that Casey referred to and that we get to live in now was the first thing on the property. And it was a gentleman farmer and his little tiny daughter, Nancy, who moved in there in about 1895. And he named the house Rockbrook. And he then had all this beautiful property, and he had Rockbrook Farm. And so all kinds of cool stories about that. We found all kinds of newspaper clippings and ads and things like that. But then Nancy so loved this area that when she grew up, she decided to found Rockbrook Camp on the property. So the house and the camp and all the property are tied in really closely with that name, Rockbrook. And she really was a visionary. You know, we have pictures of her with votes for women signs from the suffragette era. It was 1918, I think the pictures are dated. And it really was her summer camp. She was married to Henry Carrier, but he was definitely her supporter, her sidekick. He helped her, but it was definitely her summer camp. She also did a lot for the town of Brevard. She helped found Brevard Music Center, and she brought the hospital to the town. They had the first car in the county and one of the first telephones. So she really was on the cutting edge.
Yeah, and like the great is she out, like I had to stop and like pay attention. I started taking notes when they said that she was the great granddaughter of P.T. Barnum. Like,
That's
is that
right.
like hello, like that to me? I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Okay. Yeah, but she was a really strong leader for the rights of women. And I'm sure, especially when you're coming from an area like Western North Carolina in the 1920s, you know, there weren't a lot of opportunities for girls at that time. So yeah, she saw a need in the community, as camps usually do. And also fascinating, you got in 1921, you had electricity, you produced your own electricity through a water wheel. Like, wow. You know,
Yeah.
you were like the green movement in summer camping before it was even a thing, like women's rights and environmental. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So and also like just talking about the women thing, like she, you know, she was so strong, right? And I don't mean to tell your story, but like she also surrounded herself by like very strong women leaders too, correct? Like the people that she surrounded with who, I mean, you had, tell me a little, like,
yeah,
some of these
well,
women stayed on for a really long time.
right. I think, you know, I wish I could have met her because I've heard so much about her, but from what I hear, she had a really great way of being a very strong leader, but also being very much of a lady. You know, everybody really respected her. Everybody called her Mrs. Carrier. You know, they didn't call her Nancy, like they call me Sarah now. And she found really amazing people to help her run the camp. And I think they were just big fans. One person was Ellen Hume Jervey, and the nickname she had was Jerky. Perfect camp nickname. And she was amazing. She started in the 20s as a counselor, and then she became the camp director in I think in the 40s, and was the director under Nancy Carrier until sometime in the 60s. But she was in the Navy, I think it was, during World War II. I mean, these women did just incredible things. So it is really cool. I mean, there's this long history of girls and women just really pushing themselves and being who they want to be, but also still allowing themselves to be girly or not girly, you know, that was perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I noticed through the video that yes, that they called her Miss Carrier. Like I was like wrote a note, and but she was beautiful and like very put together, and you could that you definitely saw that balance between the, you know, shooting the bow and arrows and being out there to then, you know, being looking your best in your uniform and the hat. Like, guys, if you're listening, watch the video when you're done. Rockbrook Camp, go on their website and watch this historical video, because if you like old pictures, it's awesome. So Sarah, as the owner, how do you get to be the owner of a camp? Like, what's that journey like?
It was a big surprise, I've got to say. The background is that I never would go to camp as a child. I was very much of a mama's girl, and I refused. And my parents actually even brought me to Rockbrook for a tour. And I said, no, thank you. I'm not very campy. But then in 1985, the same year that you started camp, I finally agreed to come as a counselor in training because my sister had gotten a job here as a counselor, and I tagged along, and I was hooked after that. And so I've been here off and on since 1985. Met my husband, Jeff, here. He was the hiking guide, and I was a counselor, and actually had our wedding at the camp. And we came back in 2006 as directors under Jerry Stone, who was the owner at that time. And then we bought it from him in 2008.
Wow. And what about you, Casey? What's your camp story? Are you a lifer too?
A little bit. So I started going to camp as a child. I went to a couple of Girl Scout camps and like fish and wildlife camps. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so they were all in the Kentucky area. Knew I wanted to be a counselor when I was in college and thought Kentucky is way too humid in the summers. I got to get out of here. So I ended up finding out about Rockbrook through a couple of girls that went to the same college that I went to. Didn't really know them, but thanks to social media, I was easily able to find Rockbrook and applied. And same as Sarah, I showed up and immediately fell in love and have been coming back. That year was 2015, so I've been back every summer since and was hired on the year-round team in the fall of 2019. So
congratulations, right before pandemic. What a perfect time. Oh, so with 121 years, or now 101 years under your belt, right? I'm getting way ahead of myself here. You have a long list of traditions. So talk to me about Rockbrook Camp traditions. What are your favorites, or what are the campers' favorites?
oh goodness. The first thing for me that comes to mind is singing. We love singing, especially in the dining hall.
Oh, all right. Stop. All right. So I love some good dining hall. So what's your favorite dining hall chant? Let's go. Let's hear it.
Oh goodness, what do you think?
That's hard. I love all of them.
Do you sing every day in the dining hall, or is it like once a week, or is it like,
It's multiple times a meal.
okay.
Actually.
Yeah, so the oldest campers, the high ups, have the bell. That's one of their things. And whenever they feel like it, they ding ding the bell, and everybody's put their fork down, and they will start a song, and everybody has to join right in. And then when we finish, you get a few more bites, and then ding ding, and then we put our forks down and we sing another song.
Yeah.
So when you say the higher ups, is that like your oldest division?
It's
And how old are they?
They are 16. It's called High Up.
Okay.
Because their cabin is high up in the woods, and it's off limits to everybody else. So there's a lot of secrets that the high ups are privy to.
Yes.
So this is the bridge year between being a camper and a counselor. So we have all kinds of songs. I mean, gosh, there's just so many to choose from.
I'm still waiting for that dining hall chant. Come on, girls.
What do you think?
Which one?
Good morning, all you Rockbrook girls.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, all you Rockbrook girls. Are your hands and faces clean as mine? Good morning, all you Rockbrook girls. I hope you're feeling fine. Da da da. Say, how did you sleep last night? Did you say your prayers and start the day right? Good morning, all you Rockbrook girls. Are your hands and faces clean as your appetite is keen as your conscience as serene as mine? Hey.
Love that. Oh, great. So the high ups, does one girl have the bell? Is that like a thing? Like you pass it? Like that's a privilege of that meal?
Question. I think each group just works it out on their own.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the table, and I think they kind of converse about like, let's do a song. What should we do? Another thing we didn't mention is that cabins can request a song for the high ups to sing. So if we really wanted to hear Good Morning, All You Rockbrook Girls, we would get our table together and we would clap 3 times and say, Rockbrook request, Good Morning, All You Rockbrook Girls. So it helps the high ups give them some ideas for which songs the crowd wants to hear.
Because sometimes when you're put on the spot, you have trouble thinking of a great idea.
Yeah.
So speaking of mealtime, because it is such a favorite time, do you girls all does the entire camp eat meals at the same time, or do you like split it up by ages?
No, we all eat together. And I
love
think
that.
The dining hall experience is a big part of the culture because Rockbrook is very lively and a lot happens during a meal. And one of the silliest things that happens is announcements. You wouldn't think it, but it's kind of like open mic night, where we will do the regular announcements. And then at the end, when we say, does anybody else have an announcement? People just line up and we kind of just let them announce whatever they want to announce. And it can be anything from fun facts about possums to a club that somebody has just decided to start. It's pretty entertaining what kind of
So
things.
what's the most appropriate but yet outlandish announcement you've ever heard?
Probably a club.
That's what I was gonna
Which
say.
club though?
The 0% club.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So we got this past summer actually, we had an announcement for a new club that was forming called the 0% Club. And this was a club for people who are afraid of the dark. And we would gather and help each other get over that fear of being afraid of the dark.
So the 0% club. And we actually have a poster
We do.
for the 0% club. Mhm.
I love it. And was it successful? Did you help get these girls, the 0%ers, through their fear of the dark?
You know, there were so many clubs that I never made it to a meeting for the 0% Club, but
Next
I'm
summer,
sure
you know,
yeah.
2023.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I
and
love it.
it was a club that was the Casey Appreciation Club.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
Well, you can never have too much program director appreciation because that is a huge job. But
Yeah.
while we're still like talking about dining hall here a little bit, food, like what's like the meal that the campers like this is what they talk about. They write home about the good letters.
Tamales.
Yeah, the tamales, our kitchen makes handmade tamales. It takes like 24 hours for, they've done it up to our largest session, which is about 230 just campers. So that doesn't even include
All the
staff.
stuff.
I think they make about 1,000 tamales each. We just do it one time a summer. So they're
Yeah. And the best year was the year that we had a mariachi band suddenly appear on Tamale Day.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we brought
That's cool.
Yeah, we brought out our kitchen staff. We call some of them the senoritas. They're a group of wonderful women who have been at Rockbrook for 10
decade,
plus
for
years.
Oh.
And just seeing their faces light up, and they were, taking videos of the mariachi band. It was almost more fun to give that to them. It was a sweet moment.
Yeah, let's give a little bit of love and appreciation to the kitchen staff at
Yes,
camp, right? When you talk about the importance of just eating together, and at my camp, it's a 1 session, 7 weeks. So, I'm a division leader, and you sit at the table with your other division leaders, and you're eating 150 meals together for a summer, 50 days times 3. And you think the power of breaking bread with your friends and family. I don't even know if I have 150 meals with my kids during a school year, right? So there's just so much power in that. But so at your camp, you said, so if you're not signed up for the session that has Tamale Day, you are out of luck for the summer, right?
Well, for that one meal, there's a lot of other excellent meals, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes. Well, yes, of course. So how does your camp work in terms of sessions? How does it work?
Yeah, so we have 3 sessions throughout our summer. So 3 main sessions, and within each main session are mini sessions. So it's a little confusing to talk about, but on paper it makes total sense. Each session, so our long sessions, our full sessions are about 2.5 weeks, and then our mini sessions are about a week and a half.
And then we have a 4-week, the month of
Yes.
July.
Yes.
Okay. So you do have an option if someone just wants just more camp. Does anybody go for the whole summer?
No.
We
So
only.
how many weeks do you have staff like campers then? How many weeks for the whole summer then?
So campers, it's a full 10 weeks, and then we have a week of staff training. So 11 weeks total.
That's a long summer.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a long summer. So you have your staff. So do you have like overseas staff then that come and will stay that long?
Mhm.
Yeah, so we have some international. We hire roughly 15 to 20 international staff
Okay.
each summer, and then a lot of our domestic staff are, for the most part, returners. So they've either been a camper at Rockbrook or were a CIT, coming back as a counselor, and a good portion of them stay for the full summer too. Probably at least 50% of our staff stay
Wow.
all summer, I would say.
Wow. So how many girls do you have for a session? Can you, what's your max cap?
About 200. Mhm.
And then for the whole summer, how many girls will come through?
700.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
there's a lot
lot.
of in and out. It seems more complicated than it is,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's definitely some in and out that is a little tricky to schedule,
Mhm.
but she's got it down.
I mean, that's a lot of moving parts.
Mhm.
A lot of moving parts. Casey, great job.
Thank
So if one of these 700 girls is lucky enough to spend a summer with you, tell me what's a day in the life of Rockbrook Camp?
Mhm.
All right. So at Rockbrook, we wake up at 8 o'clock, head to breakfast at 8:30, lots of singing involved, as you heard. After that, we have what is called morning assembly, and this is a time for each age group. So we have 3 age groups at Rockbrook, our juniors who are kindergarten through 4th grade, our middlers who are 5th and 6th graders, and our seniors who are 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. So this is a time where they meet up with their age group. Usually they will maybe learn one of those songs that they'll be singing in the dining hall, or maybe play a game. It's also a time where they might sign up for out of camp trips. And then we move into our first activity period. And then after first activity period is actually a very important part of our day. Sarah, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, everybody's hungry at 10:45. So we have a tradition of muffin break every day at 10:45. And it's really great. Every day is a new flavor. And it's just a big topic of conversation. What do you think the muffin's going to be? What's your favorite muffin flavor? We have gluten-free muffins. And then
And these are homemade muffins by your kitchen staff?
Yeah.
So what's the favorite? So what's like the favorite flavor where they're like, yes,
pumpkin chocolate chip.
Pumpkin chocolate. Yep. It's
Mhm.
probably the most popular.
Yeah.
a little bit of fall, a little bit of holiday feel in the summer, right? A little Christmas in July.
But
Is there one where they're like, it's
Yeah.
this muffin?
Yeah, there's some real creative ones. They've had a s'mores muffin.
French toast muffin.
Yeah, there was one with sometimes they'll look in the candy cabinet, and whatever candy they have too much of, it turns into like a muffin.
The muffin.
I mean, I've seen
Darn, I gotta make some M&M muffins today. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes they're almost on the edge of being more like a cupcake
Yeah, I think
without icing.
I know our kitchen manager one time referred to them as mup cakes, like muffin cupcakes. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like it could be a great like high up activity, a challenge, create your own muffin challenge.
Yeah, we do have in our dining hall a big wheel that we play this game, and it kind of narrows down the entire camp to one person left standing. And one of the options on the wheel, so they get to come up and spin this wheel, and it, stops on one thing. And one of them is they get to choose the muffin flavor. So that has happened a couple of times, and the campers really love getting choose the muffin flavor for the day.
There's a lot of power that comes to choosing the muffin flavor. Everybody, I'm sure, is like, wants to have a second of their time to give there.
Yeah.
All right. So muffin time, is there like a specific juice? Do we drink milk? Do we drink a juice water?
We do a lot of water, but I have to say, for the counselors, the coffee bar has gotten to be quite popular.
Yes.
We actually had 2 coffee stations. We started that with the pandemic, just trying to spread everything out. And so we had this like coffee tent, we called it the Cardinal
Drive-In.
And which is also, if you are from Brevard, that's the name of like an actual drive-in here. But our symbol, like our mascot, is the Cardinal, the Rockbrook Redbirds. So we had a Cardinal Drive-In, which was like a coffee tent for counselors. So that tends to be a big thing, is people standing around the tent with their coffee or their tea, and the kids drink water, or we always have milk available. And I guess at breakfast we also have juice available if they want that. But
that's so great. Okay, so muffin time. And now what happens after muffins?
So after muffin break, we have our second activity period. And then we have what is called free swim. So this is an hour in the day where campers, so activities are not open, but campers are allowed to just kind of do as they please. It is called free swim. So the lake is open and staffed with guards for our campers to swim if they would like to swim. They don't have to. But yeah, it's really just a cool hangout time, just to kind of encourage that independence for our campers and kind of letting them get to choose what they would like to do. A lot of kids do like to swim. We do Rockbrook runners and walkers, so a little loop through camp that counselors will lead. Rockbrook readers is another popular one. And then just hanging out. We have kind of a main hangout place in camp called The Hill because it's a big hill. So a lot of people just like to hang out on the hill during free swim. So
make bracelets, take a shower, all those important things.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best memories are made. The most memorable ones are the ones where you're just like doing nothing, you know, relaxing and being able to like soak it all in. So those times are so important. And then, so that happens before lunch.
Yep. So that's right before lunch. So we move into lunch, and then after lunch, we have rest hour. So from 2 to 3, the entire camp is in their cabin, in their bed, not necessarily sleeping. Some might be sleeping, especially counselors. But it's just a quiet time to really slow down the day, reflect a little bit. So campers love to read or color or journal or write letters home. That's a big time. So we are a technology-free camp. So that is the way our kids communicate back home, is writing letters and receiving letters from parents. So that is usually a great time for them to kind of work on those things.
I love that it's a full hour. You know, sometimes camps, and even at my camp, you know, it's like rest hour, but it's like rest 40, you know, rest 35. But to have that whole hour, because yeah, it's important. It's important to have the rest, especially for the staff. I always found that, you know, my staff on any of their time off, you know, they were like heading, you know, taking that nap because it's a lot. And I wanted to comment too about your coffee bar for staff. You know, it's so important, like morale, right? To keep these staff, you know, we forget, I go back to my own room. You have this beautiful house, but the staff, you know, are with these kids, you know, 24/7. Their breaks are so important, you know, knowing they can have coffee, and it's these little things that, you know, you got to keep that morale up. So kudos to you.
Yeah, well, and really it's our amazing kitchen manager, Rick. He is the best ever. And he just makes the food situation fun. He is always positive. If somebody really loves something, he makes a point of having it for them. This summer we had with our international staff, a couple of them brought their favorite teas. Yeah. And so there was kind of like a competition between the teas. Yeah. Like everybody's saying like taste testing, which was really sweet. And fun.
Yeah.
And then the afternoon is just like the morning. So we'll have same kind of thing, 2 activity periods and a free swim. We have hour-long activities as well, because we want them to go a little more in depth, and have time also between activities to get to each place. So when we planned out the schedule, we really wanted to make sure that it was not stressful, you know, that there was time to walk up from the barn and change into your swimsuit and walk through the creek, or, you know, whatever you need to do as you're getting to the next place.
I know. And I'm guilty of getting kind of sometimes swept up in the time management of it. And like, we got to get to where we need to go next, where, you know, you just be like, it's okay. You know, where it's all good. And so for these activities, do the kids get to choose, or is this the job of Sarah, of you, Casey, having to make sure everybody's in a specific place?
No, that is not my job. That is their job. So our campers do get to pick their activities while they're at camp and in the middle of camp too. So what happens is our activity rotations are 3 days long. So on that first night of camp, we'll do like activity skits where each counselor will get up and do a little silly fun skit to explain what their activity is. We have some weird names for activities like Carosity, like what the heck is Carosity? So Carosity is our weaving activity, our fiber arts activity. So these skits just kind of show what each activity is. And then our counselors go around and help sign up the kids for their 4 activities for that rotation. And then again, on that third day of that rotation, that night, they sign up for activities for their next rotation. So again, it really just encourages independence for our campers and confidence to be able to create their own schedule. You know, at home, everything is so planned out from school to sports to, you know, whatever. So it's great for them to be able to come here and just have full control over what they want to do. And it gives them the experience of, you know, hearing, oh, Sarah took archery and I was a little scared of archery, but she really liked it. So maybe I'm going to sign up for archery next, you know, rotation. So it really is cool to see girls step out of their comfort zone and grow while they're at camp.
So they're able to do 4 activities at a time, 3 days each.
Yes.
That's really incredible. So, I mean, like through a course of a 2-week, I mean, they could probably try like 16 different things at 3 days each. Like that's a lot of touch points. I mean, that there's a lot of value and power in that. And then they can, if they really love it, they could do it again for the next 3 days. I mean, they could play tennis for the entire 2 weeks if they wanted to, right?
Yep.
If she wants to.
Yeah. We have a system of different cabins get first dibs on the really popular activities.
Right.
So, you know, climbing, for example, we make sure that we present that one to different cabins first, because it will fill up and then we'll have just other options for the other cabins.
You know,
So-
as you were talking about the little skits that they did, it reminded me of that one summer, which it was a 2-week camp, and the skits, and I chose climbing because, and I remember the skit, because the skit was great and the counselors seemed so nice and warm. And yeah, so it was like, it's really helpful, and it's bringing back some memories, making me think of things that I haven't thought of in like, oh my God, so since 1985. But amazing. So they do their activities and their day, and then tell me about the evening.
Okay, so we have dinner, and then after dinner, we have what we call twilight. So twilight is an hour of free time. It's almost like a free swim, but the lake is not open. And then another thing about twilight is this is when we typically have some counselors who will present ideas of activities going on during twilight. So maybe Sarah and I get together and we're going to do a soccer tournament at twilight. So we'll have a couple of options, and that will be an announcement that we would go up and make during dinner. And then again, campers can choose, you know, if they want to go to the soccer tournament or the dance party, they can. But if they want to take a shower or want to, you know, hang out in the cabin with their friends, they can do that too. So this just kind of gives a couple of options for them. And then we have what is called evening program. So evening program is a lot of times the lines will get together, the different age groups, and they will do a skit. So the counselors will tell them the theme of your skit is fractured fairy tales. So you have to combine Finding Nemo and Cinderella into one skit. So they'll send the campers back to their cabin without the counselors there. So again, this kind of promotes creativity, independence, collaboration, even with our youngest campers. And they have time to come up with a skit. Of course, you know, we do have those junior campers who come down and Sarah wasn't listening to me, and, you know, counselors will go and check in. But for the most part, it actually works really well. And then we call them back and they each get to perform their skit in front of the other cabins. It's just a really fun and silly time. I feel like the skits really embody what Rockbrook is all about, you know, again, just the planning behind it and why we do it, how we do it. And then just coming out to feel like you can be yourself and not be judged and be silly and wear costumes and cheer on your friends and maybe get out of your comfort zone a little bit. So skits are always fun. And then we will also do occasionally maybe an all camp activity or different activities for each line to kind of mix it up a little bit from the skits. But yeah, evening program is a fun time. And then do you want to tell them how we end the evening program before we go to bed?
Sure. Yeah, we have Goodnight Circle and milk and cookies. And the Goodnight Circle is really sweet. It's a time where everybody, you know, crosses hands and they pass the squeeze as they're doing the Day is Done song. And then
Oh, what's the Day is Done song? What's the Day is Done song?
I'm sure it's like the tap song.
Taps,
Yeah. So what is there, do you have words that go to it?
It's
Well,
just,
yes, we do.
we do.
Shall we sing it?
Should you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day is over, night is drawing nigh. Shadows of the evening steal across the sky. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh.
I love it. Do you do that whole camp or within the lines? Is that like your lines is what you would like be a division, an age group?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we have a little Rockbrook prayer that is really just about like being a good person and helping others. And then they brush their teeth and go to bed.
Well, they get milk and cookies first.
The milk and cookies.
And then they brush their teeth and go to bed.
We do a night bite, but yeah, that nighttime snack cookie, whatever it is very, very important. And they will remind you, those girls, if they do not have it on time. So I understand the importance. So one of the things that I really kind of noticed is just talking to you and doing my research is that I feel like Rockbrook Camp probably has very much its own language. Like even in the way that you have nicknames for each other on the video, they were all like at one point, all the funny nicknames and ways like you had in the pack that the old program director, her last name was Jerky and they called her Jerky. So, I mean, just in the nicknames alone, it's your own language. So tell me some words that only a Rockbrook girl would know.
D-ducky.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. I thought this was like a rapid fire.
Okay, yeah, let's do some rapid fire. I like that. Go ahead. Some Rockbrook language.
Okay, I said bebop.
Okay.
Curiosity.
Let's see. Castle Rock.
The Nest.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So tell me now, so let's get some definitions in there. So on our website, Happy Camper Live, we do have like a camp glossary. So we'd love to be able to add some original, some Rockbrook representation there. So bebop, what's that?
So bebop is a bathhouse. So half of it's like one shower and a couple of toilets and sinks. So it's like our mini tiny bathhouse that we have on camp, and there's only one of them.
So, but do your cabins have bathrooms? Are there bathrooms?
They do not.
So a D-ducky is the general word for a bathhouse. So we have central bathhouses for each age group, and they tend to be pretty big, except for bebop. This is one.
It's like a bonus. They get a bonus,
an add-on. And then a lot of the other ones we were saying were actually just locations at camp. Curiosity is the name of the fiber arts activity craft spot. And
how did it get that name? Because I saw in the video you have those big like weaving machines. So I thought, oh, maybe that's the name of that machine. Is that the name of that machine?
I've always heard it was like a mountain word for craft, like a curiosity.
Okay.
But it doesn't have eyes. Curiosity. But then, just recently I started thinking about like the Barnum history and the curiosities. And I was like, I wonder if there's any connection there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I've never seen that, but maybe.
Sounds like you could come up with a new camp legend about that, right?
I
What's
know.
the story?
One feature of Brevard, as you already know, are the white squirrels. And so Brevard is one of the few places that has actual white squirrels and not albino. And the legend is that there's some girl in town who was given white squirrels and then she set them free. And I was like, it really would make sense for that to be Nancy Carrier because her great grandfather's P.T. Barnum. And there was also maybe a story about like a circus truck that overturned. Like this feels like it's probably connected to Rockbrook, but I've never gotten any like validation on that.
I'm a sucker for a great camp movie, right? Give me The Parent Trap, the original one any day. And the next camp movie should be the Rockbrook story. All right. Like there's so many, just even going back into your history and listening to the guys tell the stories on the videos that you get to you got stuck and had to sleep in a church and dealing with bears and all of this. Like, I'm like, this would be the best new camp movie. So I think, like, you know, it's really, really incredible. And like I think I said to you earlier that if someone who has never been to a sleepaway camp had to like close their eyes and picture what they would think a sleepaway camp would look like, it would be Rockbrook Camp for girls. Like it's just this like so quintessential, and I love it so much. So before we kind of end it, I want to end on some high notes here. I like to play a game called like name that thing, bring that thing. It's the Happy Camper Live My Camp version of like 20 questions. So do you have something on your person that's very representative of Rockbrook?
On our person?
Well,
Or like there
okay,
you could get
yeah.
like something. Okay.
I think I've thought of something. Okay, we have two things. First, this bracelet here.
Oh, wait,
that's-
no, I'm supposed to guess what it is.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. No, but no, so that, you know what, honestly,
I
I'm
don't
a
know,
really
yeah.
bad name that thing player because I want to hear about the bracelet anyway.
Oh, okay.
It's not on us, but that's a
Okay,
pretty
okay.
simple awkward thing.
Yeah. So should we go get it?
I can go get it.
Okay.
Okay.
So while she's going to get it, tell me
I'm
about the
gonna say
bracelet, because
that-
my thing at camp is like, I mean, I'm not showing it, but the camp wrist and the jewelry and the bracelet
Yes.
and needing something to represent every event and everything. So it's all about the storytelling. So tell me about your bracelet.
Exactly. Basically what you were going to say, you know, jewelry making is a very popular activity, and it's one that we have open almost all the time, just some embroidery floss for campers to get and make friendship bracelets. But making friendship bracelets is definitely a very popular thing. Almost, you could call it a sport, maybe a popular sport here at Rockbrook. I mean, some super creative designs, and I personally don't have the patience for it, unfortunately, but we have some really cool designs, and I feel like it just kind of, again, symbolizes not only Rockbrook, but summer camps, you know, all of these different things coming together to create something beautiful. So
Yeah. The jewelry that I bring home that I either have made or was given to me through the summer are really my most valuable memories and pieces from camp. So what's the trend right now with your girls? Is it more string or beads?
Oh goodness. It's kind of, I don't think string could ever be defeated in popularity, but the beads are easier for the younger ones. So there's a lot of love in the beaded jewelry as well.
Yeah, and it's quicker. You can make them faster, right? There's you
Yes.
get more satisfaction in your job with the beads. All right, so
Absolutely.
are we ready to play? Name what's my thing? Okay, so is it an actual thing or like a tradition?
Thing.
I think. Can you wear it?
No.
Does it make noise?
No.
Is it can you hold it in your hand?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a bright color?
No.
Is it like part of would you wear it as part of a costume?
No.
Can you eat it?
No.
Okay. Is it a okay, what is it? I'm out. What's your
Well,
thing?
It's a thing. It's part of a game.
Okay.
What I love, the first thing I love about this is that it was created by one of the high ups, one of the 16-year-olds, about 10 years. She decided to bring to camp a garden gnome. And what she did was she stood up in the dining hall during announcement and said, "Hey, everybody, I brought a gnome to camp and I'm going to hide it." And everybody, all the kids were so excited. And she said, "You look for it." And they said, "Well, what do we do when we find it?" She said, "Well, then you hide it." And literally, it's been going on for 10 years. The gnome just moves around camp. It gets hidden. If you find the gnome, you bring it in the dining hall to prove it. You show everybody, and then you get to hide the gnome.
What an incredible, fun tradition. And this has only been happening for 10 years?
I know. It feels
And
like
it's the same gnome, like you haven't had to like a
Well-
replacement gnome or anything, like.
Well-
sadly, this gnome He's
He,
been around.
we have a couple backups.
Yeah,
though.
we I think this is a replacement. I think
I think
I
so.
think so.
But this
Well, here's to another 100 years of gnome hiding at Rockbrook Camp for girls, right? I hope that there are a million more gnomes that have to follow suit, because that means you've had a very successful tradition or just life at camp. So let me backtrack a little bit. So during, pandemic affected everybody. Did you guys open in 2020?
We did not.
Okay.
We closed for that year, knowing so little about the virus that
Right.
we felt that was the thing that we needed to do. And we were approaching our 100th anniversary because 2021 was our 100th. So some alumni and I used that time to put together a book about the history of the camp, which was amazing to have all that extra time. And so we put together this wonderful coffee table book, which just tells all about the history of the camp, decade by decade. And it has so many photos and stories. And it was just a pleasure really to get to put it all together in one place.
Oh, I bet that. I mean, it's probably like, listening to your grandmother tell stories, right? I mean, as I was watching your 30-minute video, as I've said a million times, it was all these older women that were just like your older aunts or your grandmothers that were sharing stories and telling traditions. What was the name of the book again that you worked on?
It's called The Heart of a Wooded Mountain.
The Heart of
That
the
is also the
Wooded Mountain.
Yeah, that's the name of our camp song, our official
Right.
song. And
How
so
do people, where can we purchase that book? Is it
it's
available?
yeah, we have an online store. So if you just went to our website, on the top right hand corner is a little place that says shop, and that's where you could pick up a copy if you were interested.
Do alumni ever come during the summer to tell these stories and share their experiences?
Sometimes we'll have alumni visitors, but really the reunions are the big fun. About once every 5 years, we'll have a reunion where alumni will come for the weekend and just get to
They
be
get to
campers.
stay.
Yeah, they just get to be campers, and it's just so they look forward to it so much. And last year was the 100th reunion, so we had so much excitement and interest around that, and it's just fun for me. We had you have to be 21 to attend, so we had from 21 to I don't know, in their 90s.
Yeah.
Some of the campers, and just everybody singing the same songs and doing the activities together and doing the good night circle and everything like we talked about. It was just so sweet.
I mean, it's got to be a sisterhood, really, to have someone there who is like passionate about camp at 21, who can listen to tell the stories from someone who's in their 90s. Like one of you in the video, you had a counselor, a cabin counselor who was a cabin counselor until she was 80. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I just had my birthday yesterday. Okay, I'm 46. I could very well be that 80-year-old at camp, but I mean it says so much about your camp as an organization, as what it creates as a community. I mean, I think that's the thing that's just universal about camp. And I only went to camp that one time when I was 8, and so my real camp experience started at 40 when I went back 6 years ago with my kids, and now we go together and I work. But it was really seeing the culture and the community that you are creating for these children. I mean, in your case, they're all girls. At my camp, we're co-ed, but it's like a secondary, I put my hands like this, like a secondary safety net of community. And I can just imagine when it's all women or girls, that sisterhood community, having all these like favorite aunts, right? Favorite aunts.
Yeah. And for me, I find it really fun to see generations, because I've been at Rockbrook long enough that I'm seeing the children of people that were campers when I was a counselor. And that to me is the fun part, is getting to see multiple generations coming to camp, and they have that shared connection.
So Sarah, what's the future of Rockbrook? Do you have children that might one day take over the camp?
Well, we do have 2 daughters. They are 16 and 20 right now. And who knows?
No pressure, girls, no pressure.
That's right. That's right. There's so many.
Do they like camp? I mean, every child is different when it comes to camp. Do they share in your
both grown
passion?
up at camp. My older daughter is a counselor now, and my younger one will be a high up this year. But there are just so many people who love Rockbrook that I'm not worried that even if they decided that this was not their thing, I'm sure there are many others who would love to step in and take charge.
Looking at you over there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, it says so much about, you as an owner and as a director and as a boss, that people want to continue to come and stay and carry on the legacy of camp, because, if it's not there, if it's not coming from up top, sometimes it doesn't matter how great the legacy is if people don't want to be there because
Right.
they don't feel appreciated. So before we go, I like to play one of my favorite games. It is the 7-second challenge. If you are not familiar, you will have 7 seconds to complete my challenge. Okay. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. You have 7 seconds to come up with an original word and define it.
Let's see.
Original word.
So one of my favorites that a camp did come up with that we interviewed last season, and he came up with it on the fly because it was post Liddy. And I said, well, what does that mean? And he says, well, it's like right after you post to social media and you're so proud of it, like you're post Liddy, like you're so proud of it. And he had just actually, his camp had posted this amazing like video. And I was like, oh my God, is that how you felt? So some sort of like history Liddy, because that's how you are so much history at your camp that that's how someone's going to feel after they watch your historic video on your website.
Yeah.
So. Plus, you guys have so much of your own original vocabulary that you don't need to think of anything new. Right?
Yeah.
I know. I kept thinking of other words after we said that. Do you know about spricket? Spider
Ooh.
cricket?
Oh,
Yeah, we have sprickets here.
What's that?
They're really called camel crickets, I think. They're real jumpy. And so, yeah, at some point, a camper dubbed them a spricket.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
They're quite big.
I just thank you guys so much for coming and joining me here today in the Girls HC. I could talk camp with you all day. And the camp that I work at during the summer as a division leader is in northeastern Pennsylvania. So maybe this year on my drive up to camp, since you guys are there for 11 weeks, I might have to do a little pit stop and come visit you.
Yeah, we'd love to show you around and show you all kinds of cool things. And maybe you can look for the gnome while you're here.
The gnome, take me to the hill, the nest. Maybe I'll have an announcement. I gotta start planning.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Create your own club.
Yeah. So if people want to learn more about you, where should we go to learn more about Rockbrook Camp?
Yeah.
Just go to our website, rockbrookcamp.com, and there's tons of information on there. Of course, you can always call our office and we'd be happy to chat with you.
Yep. And then we're on social media at rockbrookcamp.com on Instagram and Facebook, and also a little bit on TikTok too. So
I will say you guys have always been state of the art with your attention to media and pictures and whole movies and now TikTok. So even though you're a no electronics camp,
That's
you're ahead
right.
of the game.
That's right.
So guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you want to know more about camps and want to listen to other My Camp podcasts, you can find them where you listen to podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can check us out on YouTube. We got a lot of great camp stuff out there for you. And so I hope to see you here next time back in the Girls HC, and I'll save us more for you.
Take a moment to shine on happy